Alright YouTube, hello all you guys. I hope you guys are doing really great. So this is now the part 2 of the video I promised you. So I have on my channel where I started a JLT cold air intake review and impressions video on the GT500. So the part 1 of the video where I was just talking about the before impression, so how does the car feel right now, you know, without any mod. So that video is already online on the channel, so please go and have a look and watch if you haven't seen that one. This one now is going to be the installation video and then the after impression. So what difference has JLT really made in terms of the real world performances, and that's what we're going to talk in this video, guys. Now, a couple of things. I wanted to just do a quick recap in case some of you haven't seen the previous video. So the gist of the last video was I felt two overarching problems, and not problems, but I mean things which could be improved. Number one, I feel that the low end torque on the car is weak, and now that might have to do something with the car revs all through the 7500 RPM, unlike the Hellcats or the Corvettes or the ZL1s as well. So I feel that the lower end torque is slightly weak, and then it takes time to build up, but once it gets going, I think beyond 4500, 5000 RPM, it just pulls like a bloody locomotive or a freight. But I still like the low end torque. Now the second part, so low end weak torque, point number one. Point number two, I think there's a lag, and now again, it's nothing against the DCT. I spoke in the video again. So just imagine a scenario, even if you're pedal shifting, for example, I wasn't pedal shifting, I was on track mode. But you shift the pedal and you drop the gears to, let's say you drop from 5 quickly to 3, and then you press the throttle. Now the gears will shift real quick because of the DCT. That's what DCT is doing. So it will drop from 5 to 3 real quick. But when you press the throttle, there is a lag from the time, let's say I want to press 50% throttle on the third gear, I did my whack, and now by the time the car recognizes that, oh, I have to give a power whack 50% of the throttle, there is that lag. And now that is not a throttle position problem. Many people think that, oh, it's a throttle position problem. I think it's more like a throttle response, or a bigger throttle body can solve it, or something like a pedal commander. So that is my second issue with the car, that there is still that slight lag. So I don't know if the JLT will improve that. I will have another video for pedal commander plan, but I am hoping it does create some improvement on that. So yeah, summary again, guys. So 2 points: low end torque and slight lag, which is not unique to GT500. I mean, the problem is much worse in other cars like the Corvettes or the ZL1s. I mean, I was driving even the Porsche PDK a couple of weeks back, and I mean, I felt it's also in the PDK. That's just how the world is. So yeah, I mean, those two are my overarching problems. Now for the JLT, I'm gonna upload a Dyno Chart somewhere here on the video, and that's direct from JLT. I took what they did on their website. So the car is supposed to make 35 to 40 more horses, which is what it does, and that's given for these cold air intakes. But another issue, my concern is it has the same kind of a graph. If you see on the graph again, up to 5000 RPM, there is not a whole lot of a difference in power or the torque. It's actually beyond 5000 RPM where it picks up because of JLT. So I think theoretically it may not solve my low end torque problem, but I like to try out everything myself, so I'm definitely going to try it out and give you guys my real impression. So I think, yeah, that's pretty much all for right now. And now I'm gonna hop in, do the installation. I'll skim through the installation. I'll probably put it on a time lapse because JLT on their website have a very beautiful installation video. I don't think I can do even justice to what those guys have already made. So I'll put it on a time lapse. But one thing on installation I wanted to talk about is they did not show on the JLT, and I think if they did, I missed it. I'm gonna disconnect the negative battery terminal. And the reason to do that is, firstly, you don't want check engine lights or any problem because you're taking out the filter. But the bigger reason why I want to do that is I want to reset the ECU of the car because it's a mod. And after any mod, as you guys know, you should reset the ECU. And the simplest way to reset the ECU is just pop out the negative terminal, leave the doors open or something to just drain all the remaining juice, and that's it. And the ECU should reset. So I'm going to take out the negative terminal of the car, and then I'm gonna just follow JLT's instructions. Super easy installation. I think one of the easiest filter installation, much easier than what AFE and other guys sell. So yeah guys, let's get into it, and we'll now get into the time-lapse mode. And if there are some important instructions, I'll slow down the video and I'll talk through those instructions right within this video. So stay with me and we'll get into it. So guys, this first hiccup I wanted to show you because I know this could turn disastrous. So I think this is, I don't know if this is some, it's not a sensor, this is some sort of an air duct. Now this thing is rubber, so normally you should just pull it out and it should come out, but while doing it I realized that if I put too much of pressure I may actually tear it apart because it's just rubber and it's pretty flimsy. So I wanted to show that to you. So I'm trying to now use a microfiber or all to have a better grip, and if not then I'm gonna put something to loosen it up. But yeah, just I wanted to call out that all the other were super simple. So on JLT's website they just pulled it out because they probably had it already prepared. So this was easy, the MAF sensor was easy, and then all these push pins were easy, and then there is just one bolt here, and then there are two the tightening clamps. So this one has only one, but on the JLT we'll have I think three, two here and then one right on the filter. So yeah, going back to what I'm doing, but I wanted to call this out so you guys don't end up damaging these kind of small rubber gaskets, because I'm sure it's really hard to get any part right now because of how the the demand and supply and all that is looking. So all right, let's just get right into it. Alright guys, so everything is finally done. I would rate on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very difficult, 1 being super easy, probably a 3. It's just that you have to be slightly careful around some things. So just calling out this garment where the airflow sensor or the cold air intake temperature sensor goes. So this rubber kept dropping inside the tube if I push it too hard, so I have to be very careful. This another airflow thing. This was slightly hard pulling it out from the previous factory intake, and then just jiggle and wiggle around, like putting this pipe. It has to nicely, it has to be snug to where the car pulls all the air. Otherwise, you'll be losing a lot of this air here in the bay. You want everything to be flushed to the filter. And then the battery is back on. So I haven't started the car. It's been almost 45-50 minutes, so I'm hoping the ECU would have reset. So now we're just gonna sit in the car. I'll first drive 2-3 miles just to reset everything, and then I'll be hooking on the cameras, and also we can talk about how do I feel about this intake. So yeah guys, just be with me and let's get right into it. All right guys, so I just drove like a few miles because I did not want to bore you guys on the neighborhood roads. So I'm now very close to the highway. So let me just get on the highway and then we can start talking about the impressions in terms of this cold air intake. So yeah, right off the bat guys, a couple of things. I mean, I haven't driven it. I've just driven like 3 miles, so I haven't really got an opportunity to test it thoroughly, and I'll do it on camera with you guys so you get the unfiltered reaction. But just a very quick impression, it feels a little peppy. Like it does feel like the car is a bit more eager to get up and go. So that's what I felt like off the bat. And now what I did is, because my ECU has been reset, and how I know is because my radio stations and everything was reset. So what I did is, I did not want to like put on track, because I did not want the track to learn that kind of behavior, because the car constantly learns the behavior. So I put it on sport initially, and now I'm on track, which is my custom setting. So everything else is on track except the suspension, which is on sport. So let's get into it. I have some good roads in front of me off Mexico. Let's just do it and let's just see how the car feels. Yeah, it does not disappoint guys. I mean, it's the GT500 and I'm still trying to read the difference, because these videos are always hard to do, and especially, I mean, for 40 horses on a 760 horses car is like a marginal bump. It's not like a night and day or anything. So yeah, so I'm gonna drive it on these open roads of Mexico, and then I'm gonna see what differences do I feel. So just be with me and let me just test it out a little bit more. So yeah, a few things guys. I think there is a slightly more supercharger whine. Not night and day again. It's like, I feel like there's a bit more whistling sound. So don't expect anything like the Hellcat supercharger whine. It's more like it's whistling. So I could feel that the car is definitely sucking more air in. So that's the sort of a feeling I'm getting. And yeah, the same impression, it just gets up and goes like a bit more quick. And I'm yet to test it on a high-speed run to see that how does it pull on the higher end revs. But on the lower end rev, I feel it has a slight more eagerness to go. So I really feel that it has a very I mean, it just wants to go a little bit more quick. But I mean, but it's not like, and I don't want to honeycoat it because if you guys are on the fence, it's not something very remarkable. Like, because I know I put I mean, cold air intake right now, and I mean, it's also in my head, so you can also call it like a butt dyno. but I hope it's not that, because I'm trying to be as impartial as possible. So yeah, I mean, this is, so far we've done like, I think like 8 miles. So far the first 8-mile impression is that there's slight more eagerness and a little bit more supercharger whine, primarily as a whistling whine, but not bad. Like it's still a welcome whine because it just adds a little bit more aggression to the car. So yeah, so just let me see if I find some more higher rev end roads, and then we'll talk about how is the performance on the higher end ranges. And by the way, guys, I wanted to give a secret tip. I mean, those who own GT500 may already know this. So I have had the base car. I drove it for like 1,300 miles. Now I have the carbon fiber track pack, and I think this is more relevant to carbon fiber track pack in my view. So the modes, it's such an interesting balance, because on my base car, when I went on a track mode, I just did not like the power delivery. And then I went and I read a lot on Ford's website that what they have done on the track tuning of the engine and the power delivery and the steering response and all that stuff. And they were like, oh, we made it more linear, so when you come out of a corner, you don't get that jerk. And then what it did to me is I felt like, oh, I'm not feeling the torque, because the power delivery was so linear that I'm not feeling that sudden torquey rush. And I didn't like it. I mean, I was like, and I didn't do much of a test, and I just tried it a few times, and I never liked the track mode so much on that car. Now, it may be that I didn't do the right test on the base car. So again, so base car owners, no hate. I'm not throwing any hate. It's just like my experience. But on this car, I've been trying for the last few days, because I was trying to break in the engine a little bit more. So now I have like 700 miles, and that's when we did the cold air intake. But I started putting a little bit on track mode beyond 500 miles. And yesterday, I think 2 days before yesterday, I got the opportunity to test the car thoroughly, because I drove like quite a few miles, about 100 miles. And what I learned is I just fell in love with the track mode. So the ideal tuning, which I feel, and I'll tell you why I love it, is everything in track with just your suspension in sport, because the suspension in track will be too harsh. Like the car will throw you left, right. I mean, it's good for some corner scenarios, but I don't think that's like, unless you're really on the track, I don't think it's a lot more fun. But with this setting, where you tweak the suspension down to sport and keep everything else on track, I think it's not just the power delivery and the shifts. They have definitely done some sorcery with the steering and the suspension and how the car balances and handles. Because what happened is, on these back roads, I always felt that the car was very bouncy and jumpy, and I was always on the same sport suspension. However, now, I mean, it's still stiff, so don't get me wrong, it's still a very, very stiff car, but I feel more glued to the road. I feel like the car is more nimble, ready to turn. So I think what they have done is some sort of an engineering on terms of how the steering response behaves. So that changes a lot. Like how you feel is also a lot dependent on the steering. So I think they do something with the steering, they do something with the power delivery and the shifts. And I don't know if they also, though they're the both same sport suspension, but they do something with that as well. Long story short, in layman languages, guys, this mode is awesome. Like I fell in love all again with this car. I already love this car a lot. But like when I was driving and when I started hitting the back roads and the tires were nicely heated up, so I think it was a favorable, very favorable like climate and everything for the car. It was nice, not super hot, not cold. So that all also played. But I don't think I'm wrong. So yeah, this is my secret tip, that if you guys really want to enjoy this car, just put the damn thing on track and just dial down the suspension to sport, and it will not disappoint you guys. You will just love it. It becomes an awesome machine. So just do that, and you'll thank me. For all the GT500 owners, in fact, I would also suggest all the base car owners to go and do that as well. So yeah, that was one of the key tips. And now let me get back on to my testing, because that was like, I wanted to share this secret tip. So now let's just get on. All right.
brakes, guys, like that's, I don't know if I've mentioned in my other videos, the brakes, like they are amazing. My Corvette has a carbon fiber, carbon ceramic brakes, but I think this just, I don't think it's like any less. In fact, it feels better. I don't know why. It may be the handling and the chassis of the car as well, but in fact, this braking feels better than my Corvette brake. Oh my God! Ah, holy Christ! So we did like a, I'm not gonna tell again what speed was it. The only bad thing about this road was, I think this was, I mean, it was open, so we tried, but this has like, the wheel was hopping, not slipping. So it hooks and goes, and it's a very nice, I think it's 80, 85 here, but it was hopping because these roads are very uneven. So my wheel was like jumping. So that's why like it kept like gaining traction and losing traction, not because the wheels were slipping, in fact because the wheels were hopping. But it was bunkers, guys. Wow. Wow, guys. This is like a drug, guys. So okay, now I mean I think I got like enough. I drove like almost like 15, 16 miles now. So what do I feel now? My final thoughts. Again, it's more peppy. It wants to go, gets up and goes quick. There is a slight supercharger whine, more in the form of like a whistling whine. And on the higher ranges, I think it feels more powerful. Like it is more like inclined to pulling harder. So the acceleration feels a bit more punchy. And I'm not surprised, because that's where the majority of the difference is. So whatever 25, 30 miles gain we feel, they're beyond 5,000 RPM. So when you're really getting on this thing and you're shooting beyond 5,000 RPM, you feel a little bit more power, and it's slightly more punchy. So now, do I recommend it, JLT? Absolutely. I mean, right now I saw there are deals. If you find one, they're selling it for like 400, even under 400. I think you probably, roughly around 400, you'll get one. It's a DIY. Doesn't do any harm. God forbid you have any issue, just pop back your own filter, because it's such an easy assembly. You don't have to disassemble your own assembly. So should you do it? Yeah, I mean, hell yeah, you should do it, because if anything, there is a positive feeling. So I mean, in a $120,000, $130,000 car, who cares about another $400? And then the other thing is, all of us, we know, those who like these kind of cars, whether it is, and it's not about the price. Even in a, I mean, like even in like a RT or a Scat Pack or a Camaro SS or a regular Mustang, we want to do something to our cars because these are special. So for that factor, I would totally recommend it. Performance wise, it is a gain. It's a positive gain. It's marginal. I mean, and that's what it anyway is. It's 5 to 10%, and I think that's exactly what you feel. But it doesn't disappoint. So yeah, I mean, if all of you have been thinking about JLT, go and do the JLT. My other experience with, if you don't find JLT, I think AFEs are good. I have felt very good response on my Corvette. I'm not very pleased on the AFE on my ZL1, so I don't know what to feel about them. But on my truck and my Corvette, I like them. So if you don't find a JLT, I think AFE is not bad. But I like the fact that the JLT is still enclosed, but it's still open. And the AFE and the other filters, which are completely wrapped around, I mean, yeah, they try to separate it from the engine bay, but I think that also confines it too much. I mean, it has to be a cold air intake. So yeah, guys, I mean, JLT, probably if not JLT, then find some good brand, but this is definitely worth it. So thank you again for watching. I put a lot of effort on this video, so please subscribe, please like, please comment. I'm trying to get better with the filming, but I mean, it's hard. This is not my day job, so something will go wrong. So please forgive me if the audio, I'm trying to play with the audio, so that's why I have two mics, one of the GoPro and one of the iPhone. So yeah, again, apologies guys if there has been something which didn't go as planned. But I'm so happy and glad that you guys are watching the videos, and I have some subscribers. It's a small channel, so please subscribe. It gives me a lot of motivation, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care. Bye bye.